Yo, what's poppin', all my peeps? It is I, your host with the most renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back for another episode of Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show here on YouTube. But you can't have Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show without the best of the West. You can't forget about Sarah Marshall. What's poppin', girl?
Hey yo.
Hey yo to you too.
That reminds me, I still haven't gone back and watched that.
You still didn't. Yeah, you said
I
that
didn't.
you were going to do that last week.
Yeah, I need to do that.
And Sarah, we're not alone in the Art of Streams this week. I've brought a guest with me into the Art of Streams for this episode. It is a fairly new wrestling fan, but not a new face if you are a fan of the champ. It is the pretty fly science guy, the doctor of patrionomics, Sorvora, my co-host of the Gillette Gazette, presented by Stadium Rant. Sor, welcome to Pitts and Sarah's Wrestling Show.
What's poppin', guys? A very honor to be part of this. Yeah, it's been a fun little journey that I'm excited to talk about with you guys about how I've been introduced into the world of wrestling and kind of my experience getting acquainted. But this was a really great week to like experience all things WWE and just learn a lot in a very short time. Between Saturday and Monday, like I got so much backstory, and just so much made sense.
That's a good way to put it. Is that things it made sense because things are starting to come together. Things are starting to connect, and we saw that this week.
And sure. Things are kind of we're going through that like post-Mania time period where like everything starts new. So most of the stuff that was going on for WrestleMania and Backlash, it's like over for the most part. So it's like the perfect time to start watching because it's like, oh, like you don't really have to know a lot of the background and stuff that happened at the beginning of the year. So that's kind of nice too, you know.
Yeah, it's always nice where you can just you don't have to you jump in and you're like, oh, I missed this or whatnot. Everything's kind of getting into that next chapter. And I mean, it's a good time to be a WWE fan. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan in general, because even last AEW show last weekend and then on Wednesday, because I know, Sarah, you're not all elite, we'll say. I
ain't all elite.
I'm trying to get Sor to be all elite with me.
He's gonna stay unelite.
Yeah. I'm trying to first process WWE a little bit more before I incorporate another show into my rotation. But I think there's definitely room for it. I've definitely enjoyed WWE enough to want more of wrestling in my life.
There we go.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. And so every week we start out this part of Pitts and Sarah's Wrestling Show with a little fun segment that is inspired by one of our, I would say fan favorites of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's time for.
Don't be a lemon, be a rosebud.
A rosebud.
Don't be a lemon, Sor. Be a rosebud. That's something I got to show you. Adam Rose, classic.
Good times in WWE at that moment.
I miss Adam Rose so much. That was one of my favorite things weekly, was just seeing his like party crew come out and the bunny. Oh my god, that was awesome.
Remember who was feuding with the bunny at one point? There was someone who was feuding with him.
Adam Rose.
Oh, was it? Okay, I couldn't remember. Yeah, did we ever learn the identity of the bunny? I don't think we did.
Unfortunately, no, we did not, which is kind of sad.
Forever one of WWE's biggest mysteries. It's an unsolved mystery.
Who do you think was under the bunny? One guess.
I mean, it was probably someone different every week. It probably wasn't like a specific person until they were going to maybe reveal him and like whatever. But I don't know, because I don't remember anyone that he had beef with back then that would have been a relevant opponent, you know?
I got my money on Sin Cara.
Faux Cara, you mean? Faux Cara? That's what I call him.
What are we talking about?
Adam Rose.
Oh, okay.
I called him.
Yeah.
Oh, and I called him Faux Kara, by the way, because the original Sin Cara had been gone, and then they brought in Unico and had him as Sin Cara.
No.
So I called him Faux Kara, and then I thought Unico was such a. Well, we're getting way off topic, but
We're
anyway,
getting so off. If
yeah,
we're bringing
anyway.
up Unico right now, we're
Would it be too on the nose to have Bad Bunny in the bunny costume? Is my question.
a little early.
Probably because I don't. Was he even a thing back then? I don't even know.
No,
Okay, well, I was like, I don't know.
no, because
But anyway.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about now. A little reprise.
No, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. Honestly,
You
I
know,
mean
or
that's like his
swerve
logo,
somebody.
so it would make sense.
that could be done. There's a
Mhm.
way to put Bad Bunny in a bunny costume for a feud or whatever.
Yep.
But let's get right into our favorite thing of the week in wrestling, our rosebud of the week. I'll let our guests go first. Sor, what was your favorite thing in wrestling this week?
I don't think you're going to be surprised by this one at all, Pitts. It's got to be into share. Brimming with irrational ethnic pride when I see them. my kings of India. They're just so dominant. Firepower. I mean, getting like they get started before the bell even rings. They have the hops, they have the power, they have the coordination. Love that they have Jinder Mahal as kind of their hype man, and I do think we're gonna see Jinder in the ring soon enough.
Mhm.
But if you actually know Hindi, the first time they fought after the end of their first fight, he said, this was not this Raw, but a couple Raws ago. He said, "Hum hai Bharat ka sher, hum hai Indus sher, hum Raj karenge," which means we are the lions of India. We are Indus sher. We will rule all.
Will.
See, it's nice to have a little insight to something like that because we are never. I mean, I would never.
And
know
we
what
were
that means.
we were just talking about Veer too,
We were
because
talking about Veer.
in a different way. But
That's more because of WWE.
it was a weird. I mean, I posted it on TikTok store, so if you want to see that clip, you can watch it. It was a weird moment because I made a dirty joke out of something that Pat was saying. But
hilarious.
Veer was actually brought up to the main roster like what a year or two ago.
Yeah, it was like a year or two ago. They tried to bring him up as a solo
flopped.
guy.
He flopped. I don't even think it was like his own doing. I think it was a Vince McMahon thing where it was like 5 weeks in a row he had squash matches and then just like nothing really. I think he beat up Rey Mysterio and we were like, this is not interesting. Like he would squish him in 2 seconds. So him going back down to NXT, I think was a great move. And then obviously pairing him up. And if you like Jinder, we should try and find the time period where he was like WWE champion, because that was a couple years ago when he came back jacked AF. Because if you saw 3-man band Jinder Mahal, you would be like, how is 3MB Jinder Mahal this Jinder Mahal in 2023?
Yeah.
It's like it's crazy different. But there was a time
I did a
period
little
when he
deep
was the
dive this
guy.
week after some. I did a little deep dive this week after seeing that fight into Jinder Mahal and just his history. I don't know who those Singh twins are. I don't know how I feel about them and the way they kind of stole the championship for Jinder, but it was kind of fun to see some of his fights. I saw a fight between. I mean, I saw some fights between him and some real big names where didn't always win them, but he had some good stuff. I'm really curious to see. I can't imagine that someone of his stature is just there to be a hype man.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think I was just talking about that too. I was like, okay, he's a hype man. I don't know how involved he was in NXT, but I think that there's going to be a moment where we see him get in. There's just no way. You can't have Jinder Mahal back there. Everyone know who he is and what he's capable of, and he's just standing there because like he's a much more intimidating figure right now than what we've seen from him for a couple years. I mean, like I said, no one forgets 3MB, he wasn't even like a huge part of 3MB. I would say when I think of 3MB, I don't think of Jinder. I think
Heath Slater.
Yeah, and the end of Drew McIntyre's career at the beginning.
I know.
But
Jeez.
yeah, no, I think he's in a much better situation now. So it'll be interesting to see how they book them. I'm assuming that it's going to be a bunch of squash matches at first, but I mean, as they should, I guess. That's usually how it goes. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys, how would you guys feel about an Indian bloodline?
I feel like that would be cool.
It could be done.
Honestly. Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like Jinder Mahal would be the obvious tribal chief there. You've got Veer and Sangha. You've got a couple. I'm sure there are other people you can bring into the mix here. I'd be interested.
Yeah, it could be done in some way. I feel like that's what they're doing a little tease with.
What about if Great Khali comes back? What is Great Khali doing?
Movies, probably.
I don't know. I saw him at the airport. He was a very intimidating.
It must be so uncomfortable for him.
Yeah, I feel bad the way he sits and stuff. You can just tell. Like, ugh.
So tough.
But he's supposedly a really nice guy. So.
Oh, I feel like he's a great teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, what's your favorite / rosebud of the week?
I feel like mine's not shocking either, but
Why is everyone's not?
What?
Yeah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No.
Well,
what do you think it is then?
I don't know. I actually.
Okay, Giovanni Vinci.
Oh, him getting the pin.
Yes, he got the pin on Raw. So
That
Imperium
is
got the
massive.
win, and instead of taking the loss for Imperium, we saw Giovanni Vinci get the pin. So that was very exciting to me, and I hope it's not short-lived. I really want to see Imperium feud with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the championships, and it be a proper feud. And yeah, I want to see them be able to do what they can do in the ring. There's a reason why they became a huge name in NXT UK, NXT. There's a reason why Imperium exists. And like I said, you can't have Gunther be this crazy good guy in the ring and supposed to be intimidating and all of this and have him surrounded by scrubs. Like, you can't do that. It makes no sense. So I'm hoping that we are on an upward trajectory with Imperium.
Oh, we have to be. I mean, that performance on Monday it showed that they're on the rise, and I feel like they're gonna give KO and Sammy at least a decent enough feud where they're destined for a tag title at some point. It just Imperium's so over right now, and they're so awesome. I want
to be their only fan at a show. Like, I want to be the annoying one that's like, yeah. And Remy just dipped. She just ran away.
Does not like Imperium.
No,
Remy does not like Imperium.
But I would love to be the only one cheering for them, and a sea of people being like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'd be like, "What's wrong with you?" That's what I would want to be like. It's always fun to be
Giovanni Vinci.
Yes, I like Baldy and Slenderman.
Baldy is my favorite.
Slenderman.
It's interesting with Gunther. I the whole time during that Rumble for his opponent, it felt like Bronson Reed was the fight that he deserved, and almost I feel like because of that, because everybody knew that Bronson Reed was the fight that he deserved, he didn't get it, and I'd like to see that happen though. It's Bronson dominated, and he was the only guy you could say like. It does feel like Gunther should go beyond the Intercontinental Championship at this point, but if he's going to keep fighting it and keep defending that title rather than going for something higher, Reed needs to come into the mix as one of his opponents.
At some point.
Didn't they say it's like 100 more days or something like that until he beats Honky Tonk? It was something like that. I don't remember. So he'll be champion for a while.
That's
and it's
crazy.
Well, and no disrespect to the Honky Tonk Man, we respect our elders, but like, it's kind of embarrassing that he was like the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, and I think that he like never defended it either. So it's
He's the Honky Tonk Man. He's the Honky Tonk Man.
So yeah, I would love to see him versus Bronson because we're big fans of Bronson on this.
We stand with Bronson Reed.
Yeah,
Limitless guy.
Yeah, that's your reason. I just like him because I find him to be entertaining and good in the ring, and people kind of just don't give him a chance. But I'm
gonna go a little off the beaten path here with my rosebud of the week because it's great of a product WWE has been the past week. I'm going with my elite, I don't know what it is about AEW, and this is where I differ, but they put on pay-per-views like nobody else. Their Double or Nothing this week was so good, and then Dynamite, which could have been not so great, just the card itself leading up, and after the pay-per-view, it was just so good, and the way that they are continuing the stories, the action, like I don't know, AEW's on another level right now, and I love it. I love every minute of it. I think it's just like, for instance, my real rosebud out of this is just this secondary champs, because you guys said Gunther and all that,
Mm-hmm.
but the star of AEW right now is Orange Cassidy. The man is low-key became one of my favorite wrestlers because, one, he just defends the title every week and goes, yeah, you want it? Go for it. Oh, you guys all want my shot at my title? Well, all 20 of you can come and try to get me and defeat me for it in a battle royal. And then the finish to the battle royal, pretty much him and Swerve Strickland, former member of Hit Row,
Mm-hmm.
are on the apron outside, and they're going back and forth, whatever. And Swerve is holding on to the rope. And instead of Orange Cassidy going up and kicking him or whatever, he just kind of waltz over and then kicks his arms up. And it was just like a very smooth finish where he just like nonchalant wouldn't expect it. And just shit like that just it gets me every time. And Orange Cassidy, sorry, that's somebody that you should like ease your way into looking up before going full into, all elite. The man, Sarah, the man is just, I think, the best champion, not Gunther right now, hands down.
Good to
So
know.
look him up. Freshly Squeezed. He's incredible. So
we gotta go to that event on the 19th, Pitts.
yes, we got to go to AEW at the Garden, hands down. The champ will find a way to get tickets so we can go to that, because that's going to be a hell of a show. So that's our rosebud. What's our lemon? All right, what was not our favorite thing this week?
Well, who's going first?
I just went, so it's up to one of you two.
We can start. I think they need to start making Rhea's defenses a little bit more competitive. I thought, like, even in the Raw leading up to it, it felt like that fight with Natalya was a joke, even heading in, and then it started and it basically ended instantaneously, and they just confirmed that it was a joke. And especially after that, the fight with Charlotte Flair was so epic at WrestleMania, probably my favorite fight of the entire event. And since then, it's been kind of extremely smooth sailing for her. And even, and in comparison, I thought in Bianca Belair's title defenses, there have been some really, really spicy ones in there, including even some at Raw. She's always had to like kick out of twos and things like that. But this fight at Night of Champions, which I wasn't expecting much from the beginning, went below even those expectations. It was a joke. They need to do better there.
I know. I still kind of wonder what the thinking behind that was, because Natalya is not bad in the ring whatsoever, and
Heart.
Yeah, and I don't usually, when something happens like that, like a match ends that quickly, there's a purpose to it, or like old school days with Vince, it would be a punishment. Like Natalya did something, so we're gonna embarrass her. I'm assuming that's not the situation, but that match ended so quickly, and then Natalya wasn't even there for Raw. So it's like you don't even know what's going on. There wasn't a whole lot of build up to the match, so there wasn't a lot of substance to their feud anyway. So I don't know what that was about, but I agree, and we talked about this actually when we were talking about Raw and Night of Champions, saying that Rhea needs to have a better reign, but unfortunately the way that the Raw roster panned out, it's kind of worked against her. So that really sucks.
There's just no one that you feel right now could pose a threat to Rhea Ripley. So trying to put her up against these opponents, I thought Zelina Vega was a very good first one. Given the location and timing of the event, it worked out in everyone's favor. But since then, you don't need to go up and keep going up, but you at least kind of got to stay, in the middle, consistent, do a little of that. It just feels like Natalya and having her in a squash match, especially a squash match all the way in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I would good insight, Sora. See, we can get more into that in the main event part of the show, because the fact that the short time you have been watching it in our world would say and picked up on that, it's very good. So I like that. Sarah, what did you not like this week?
Matt Riddle.
Oh fuck.
Do I need to say more?
No, you don't. But like,
when did you ever like Matt Riddle?
I have people in my comments that were trashing me on YouTube and on TikTok. I mean, not that bad, but like, I'm not into him being someone going for the Intercontinental Championship. I don't like it. I just don't think that he should be the next guy. But if it's fine, because if he's going to go against Gunther in the next less than 100 days, I would assume that he's going to lose. So that's the only thing that I'm okay with at this point. Like, whatever. But I just didn't like the setup to it. It felt very random. I mean, like we said when we were talking about it on Tuesday, he was talking about Money in the Bank. We don't even know that he was in a qualifying match yet. So the whole thing was just weird. Gunther interrupting was weird. Like, I don't know. I just didn't. I'm not excited.
It does feel like they're kind of setting up Matt Riddle in some sort of a contender way. Early on when they were giving him that platform with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in kind of the big leagues. And then, I mean, honestly, before the Rumble, he didn't win the Rumble, but like he did have his little moment, which infuriated me, by the way, when he kicked his flip flop into Gunther's face. I wanted Gunther to end him right then and there, but it did feel like they were trying to brew something between him and Gunther, and so they're not going to put a moment like that in and not have the two fight for the title.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one who doesn't hate Matt Riddle.
I'm sorry. There's just nothing likable. And this is the thing too, right? Like I talked about when I've talked about my opinion on like CM Punk. Like I never liked CM Punk, and it wasn't just because of he was like a heel a lot of his career. No, it's like I just didn't like his attitude. Like I could just tell that I wouldn't like him as a person. And then when you hear about like how toxic and trashy or whatever of a person that he is outside of the ring, it just like validates why I didn't like him. And I think that's kind of plays into how I feel about Matt Riddle, is just like the things that he does outside of the ring and whatever. It's just gross and I just don't like it. And then it plays into his character, which I already think his character's annoying, even if I didn't know anything about him outside of the ring, which I didn't when I first started not liking him. I'm not into it. I don't know. It just reminds me of like a high school boy. It just reminds me of a kid I went to high school with or something, where it's just always like smoking weed and talk. It's just like, it's annoying. And I'm just like, you're like a grown man. I don't know. I don't dig it.
Grown ass man.
You are a grown man.
The only setting in which I like a Gunther Matt Riddle fight for the title is if the punishment, if Matt Riddle loses, is that Gunther gets to shave his head. I would love that. Take away that dorky frat boy,
the luscious
hair.
Locks that he's got on.
Yeah,
we got Cole.
Give Gunther a razor or a pair of scissors and put them in the ring.
Hair versus hair, but okay, I like that. My lemon of the week. It's not really like there's nothing really going on right now that really ticks me off. I would just say like the one thing that did tick me off, and this is gonna go against the peeps. Gunther does not suck. All right. There's this one fan that said something along the lines, Sarah, you brought to my attention.
Yeah.
that Gunther sucks.
Yeah,
And
they
you know
said
what?
he's
I
like
saw something in the comment section too. Here, David. Seth Rollins sucks in 2015. Completely disagree. These are not guys. It's like these are like peak. Rollins just won the heist of the century. Rollins.
Well, and we've
What
talked
are we
about this
doing?
too. Like, you don't have to like a wrestler. Like, I don't like Matt Riddle, and like I just said, I do not like CM Punk. But can I sit here and say that they're not good in the ring? No. Like, I don't like Matt Riddle's style. I don't like some of the moves that he does, but obviously he can put on a decent match. Same thing with Punk. Like, I can't sit there and be like, oh, Punk sucks. No, he clearly doesn't. But I think that's kind of the problem that people find themselves in, that they can't like separate their personal feelings or lack of fanship or whatever to a wrestler, and then it just becomes they suck overall. And it's like, no, like I just can't imagine saying Gunther sucks. Like, I just don't, like, he doesn't have to be your style, but like, because obviously it's UK style wrestling, which I love, but come on now. Like, let's be real.
Let's be smart here. Let's smarten up. Let's get some comments before we dive more into the new fandom of our science guy, Sorvor, which Kingdom of Razor, he's here. He's asking who's the new guy. And
Hey, what's going on?
Razor, it's fun fact. This is the science guy, my co-host now, friend of the Gillette Gazette podcast that I do over at Stadium Rant, and I've converted him into a wrestling fan because there's not many wrestling fans in my inner circle in ye old New England. So to have Sora in here to be a fan and not only be one, but just we open, like for instance, we'll get more into it, but the event we went to, all that. So just hold your horses there a little bit because we're gonna get all into who this new guy is right now. But we wanted to say what's up to Bernard. He's here. David also said that Trish Stratus, the modern day Nadia Comencia, as 7-time women's champ, becoming his second perfect 10. All right, I'm for it.
We
I
love
like
Trish.
comparison, even if I don't get it. David is here. What's popping? And then I got to that comment. Gunther needs to continue to defend. Yeah, every week.
Oh, he will.
The workhorse.
He defends it more than the current Universal Champion. Speaking of, did you see that they might be unveiling a new championship tonight?
Oh,
they're doing some nice building right now on SmackDown.
Okay. I can't watch it for.
They're not gonna lose to Raw, are they? Right? Raw unleashes a new championship. SmackDown's got to do the same.
Well, it's because of the celebration for Roman, and they have to combine it probably because they don't want 3 titles, but they can't retire them because you can't retire the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship. But
yeah, they keep going through all these wrestlers who have shorter title reigns than Roman, and I just look at this and see half of them, if not more, deserve longer reigns than him.
Mm-hmm.
Just you don't get a medal for defending your title way less than everybody else.
I know. Trust me, this is a conversation we've had so many times. Like, I've made so many videos on that too, and I just get so much hate being like, "You just hate Roman." I'm like, "Hello, no." You don't understand my fandom for the Shield, okay?
We have Austin Theory in the we have Austin Theory in the ring, and he was about to cut something or whatever, and then right back to Roman Reigns, 1,000 Days, him beating Edge and Daniel Bryan. Like this whole show is just gonna be about Roman's 1,000th day, which I'm for. Because the main event's gonna be awesome. So let's get going here so we can watch the main event. Let's do some quick ones. David said Bronson Reed should have won the U.S. Championship. Absolutely should have. I think that is possibly or hopefully one day in the works. 2 favorite basketball movies.
I'm not a movie lady.
Space Jam.
Love and Basketball and Space Jam.
Like Mike.
Those are like the only 2 basketball movies I've seen. So
back when I liked Kevin Durant, Thunderstruck.
Oh, that's a classic. All right, I try to get to ones that are more. Yeah, well, Sarah already kind of talked about this, dude. It's not that
They're
it's
not
more
the
about
same.
the.
Well,
They're
but
not the
they're
same.
also not the same.
They're
Are
not the
the
same at all.
not at all.
Oh, let's go. Okay, announced. Pretty Deadly and Austin Theory.
They're teaming
Yeah,
against the Brawling Brutes.
yeah.
Ew! But oh my god, I'm so excited.
They're your
Oh my
favorites.
god, I love them so much. Ugh. Don't even get me started.
All right. So yeah, we got some comments there. I wanted to all right, let's get into the main event of this. Don't you dare skip on me, SmackDown. But no, all right. So yes, we have a guest this week with us in the Artist Dreams. It is my co-host of the Gillette Gazette, presented by Stadium Rant, and a good friend of mine, Sor Vora, who I call the science guy, and a little background of who Sor is. A little bit, obviously, the football and, you know, all that stuff. But one day I was just talking about wrestling, I think with you, Sarah, or somebody, and you just were interested, whatever. And then, yeah, you know what? You tell it. All right. How did you get into, this madness, this chaos, we'll say?
Honestly, it was through you. I think I saw, my perception of WWE in the past, and I had not seen much of it, was that like, oh, this is scripted and not real sports. And I brought this up to you, and I think you told me, watch it again, but think of it as entertainment and not sports. And the second I kind of unfogged those goggles and thought of it, and then I thought of other things that are scripted but still enjoyable. Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, all this stuff. And it just realized like every twist and turn all of a sudden became a part of a plot for me. And it just clicked. And I'm like, because at first I was like, I remember when Roman beat Cody at WrestleMania, and you were like, how could they do this? And I was like, what do you mean they? Roman just beat him. That's just what happened. And I realized like this was part of what needed to happen to build the storyline. The same way that Dumbledore needed to die in book 6 of Harry Potter, the way that Ned Stark needed to die after season 1 of Game of Thrones. These unpleasant events needed to happen to pave the way for a storyline. And I just like everything ebbs and flows so well. And I'm like, this is like the greatest, rather than thinking of it as a sport, I'm thinking of this as like the greatest show with the most twists and turns I've ever seen with sporting elements in it. This is for me.
If you're a sports fan of any sport, doesn't matter what it is, then you definitely have a little bit of interest in this. And that's one thing that has been a constant in, my life, is that one thing I see with, people is that, they grew up watching as a kid and all that, and then they grow out of it, and it's more because they start to obsess more over the competition and sporting element of it, and they start to forget the entertainment side of things and the backstage stuff, and then they don't really dive into that and watching stuff and watching documentaries, and like it's something, the best way I can describe it is just like it's a never ending kind of layer, like unpeeling the onion, stuff like that. Like you're constantly unveiling stuff, and once you realize that nothing is really an accident and everything's purposely done for a specific reason to tell a story, then it is the most entertaining thing I ever seen. So you have to look at it through that lens, or you're right.
And I think that part of it too, because I mean, obviously, I've watched wrestling for a long time. So when people hear that, they're like, "Oh, I used to watch that," like you said, and that when I was a kid. And I think part of it is that people also start to focus too much on the realness factor of it, and then it's like, "Well, I can't watch fake fighting," and it's like, but but why? Like, I don't really understand, because it's different than like stunts in a movie, you know, where it is fake and there's experts in there that are doing it to make it look real. Like, these guys are really being thrown down on a mat. These guys are really jumping off the top of a ladder. They are falling on top of each other. They are really, you know, like going through a table. So it's like they are athletes. They're just not performing the athletic things, I guess, that you've gotten used to. So it's like people seem to forget that aspect, and then it's so much about, well, I can't watch it because it's not real. And I think, yeah, I think it's just like I think it's something that people, if they used to watch it when they were a kid, they might want to watch it as an adult, because I think that you don't have that respect for the child that once you have an adult brain, obviously you can comprehend it a lot differently. And most people aren't willing to do that, because there is some sort of like stigma around being a wrestling fan. And I'm not really sure why, because it's like, do you see these shows, how they're sold out? Do you hear that crowd singing Seth Rollins' song every night? Do you see that they sold out Madison Square Garden, that they sold out Cowboys Stadium? Like, if you want to say that it's embarrassing to be a wrestling fan, then you're going to have to tell millions and millions of people that it's embarrassing, because people are going to the shows every single night and going and going and going all year long. So
Madison Square Garden is more of a home for WWE than it is for the sports teams in that city. I will make that argument until the day I die, that MSG is more of a home for WrestleMania and just WWE in general than it is for the New York Knicks. Just, I don't care what you say.
I agree.
Well, the Knicks suck. So
The Knicks suck. Rangers suck. WrestleMania does not.
You shouldn't want to claim them anyway, New York.
That's insane.
Okay?
Yeah.
Claim WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's a lot more prestigious. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
But so I remember the one, I think, memory that comes to mind with your starting out in the fandom is when we went to that show in Boston, which your first show,
So
your
unfair.
first live show, I don't think you realize how how awesome and how, I would say, historical, to put a little bit of lore to it, it was, because of, one, the star power that were there. I mean, you saw Cody Rhodes, John Cena, especially you saw John Cena in 2023.
Oh my God, I'm so
Incredible.
mad.
I mean, to be part of the Seth Rollins, whoa. I forget what the rest of the card was, but I feel like that was a really
I saw
pivotal
Omos. That's when I fell in love with Omos.
Oh, when
When he became an almost sapien.
We believe the Omos should be the Patriots starting right tackle.
Right.
I wouldn't be mad about it.
That's what I'm saying. So you
Mhm.
get it. But yeah, that's where you saw Omos. What was that being your first show? What was it like to experience that?
It, especially now having watched a few more Raws, I realize in hindsight that I got just an unreal card, and I was glad that I got wrestlers that that I was familiar with, because otherwise I think I would have been a little lost, a little bit overwhelmed, and I was like you. I kept asking you questions throughout the whole thing, but it got more and more and more enjoyable. We also got to see KO, Sami Zayn, and the Usos.
Mhm.
Did
that was part of that card too. Like it was, and
a lot.
I mean, I was lucky that I had seen the Royal Rumble before that, because at least I got kind of a quick flash introduction to a lot of wrestlers, and it was my way of being like, that was my sensory overloads that Raw didn't have to be. And it was interesting. You got to see so many different layers of wrestling at the same time. You got to see a little bit of the future when we saw Carmelo Hayes fighting Tozawa in that event that they didn't televise in the beginning, because I got to see a little bit of what we're probably going to see in 3-4 years at the top of WWE. I got to see the Bloodline feud, and I got to see a little bit of that whole thing with KO and Sammy, and then I could ask you what happened, and I realized that Sammy was part of the Bloodline, and that whole dimension to it. I got to see, obviously, regardless of whether or not you're into wrestling, you know John Cena is an icon. You got to see that live. Got to see a little bit of why he commands the ring. He didn't throw a single punch, and I still got that aura from him when he was talking to Austin Theory. And because Austin Theory is a pretty well-known wrestler, and John Cena made him look like a cockroach.
Were you guys at the one where they were going back and forth?
Oh, we were at the one where he challenged him to the match at WrestleMania.
So like, I'm not going anywhere, and neither is your bald spot. Is that?
Yep.
Is that? Oh my god, I'm so mad. The more I keep remembering which show you guys are at, I'm so mad.
It was incredible. Like the two shows I went to the Garden back to back were War Games and then that. So we've had a pretty good year at watching wrestling at the Garden. And then even with the one I didn't go to, I just went to Banners and for a SummerSlam DraftKings event. That was a banger.
At some point, I want to see something a little bit more amateur with you. I don't know if there are any like lower level wrestling shows happening in the Boston area, but I would love to.
He'll take you to Maine to see Limitless.
We'll go to Maine. We'll watch our boys up at Limitless with my boy, the victorious one. Shout out BRG, the Let's Wrestle champion. I think he defends it. He's got a match coming up against Fandango.
Dirty Dango.
Dirty Dango.
Yeah. I used to love him too because he's from New England. So
he's a Maine guy. Guy.
Yeah, but I think they used to bill him from Boston, which I was like,
he's now wrestling out of Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, well, duh.
Funny.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of heat for that.
There's some unfamiliar faces in this SmackDown fight. Who's teamed up with Theory? The guy in the blue.
Oh, Sarah, how about you tell?
I don't know who's who. I don't know who it is because I can't see.
So
who's in the ring?
It is the blonde one.
Oh, the blonde one is Elton Prince.
Prince.
The other one is Kit Wilson, and I am obsessed with them so much.
Yeah.
Like,
so we're a big, pretty deadly pod. Like we stand here to the point where we have our own little videos that, if you're a fan of this show, you see. Starting with
yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy!
Yes, boy!
That's their catchphrase.
I'm obsessed.
And then where's this one? Here we go.
Stand and deliver.
Oh my god, I'm obsessed. I can't.
They're awesome. They are.
That is one of the wrestlers that one of the groups of wrestlers that I was in love with, that because I wouldn't stop talking about them made Pat become a big fan. Basically.
And I'm a sucker for good tag teams.
They're really good.
I've always been a big tag team guy, which is SBC.
Yeah. I'm obsessed. I can't wait. Oh, so they're like first, huh?
Yeah, weird to start the show.
Sucks.
I know. I thought I'd build my little more. But yeah, so we'll get to some amateur events as well. I know, obviously, this is Maine. We have the White Eagle over in Worcester every Thursday at Wrestling Open, where it's a lot of the New England indie stars kind of all come together for this one show. So you'll have your main people like BRG, Becca, Alec Price, not so much anymore because he got too big and he's really crushing it. But my guy, the big boofa, Desmond Cole, who likes my tweets. We got to get him on the show, Sarah. Desmond Cole. You'll like him, the big boofa. He fought Too Cold Scorpio.
Oh. Yeah.
And was kind of a banger match. And Too Cold Scorpio is in his 50s.
Yeah.
Still crushing it. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Sora, what do you
I have a question.
Into 3 count, what is
Can I ask a question?
You ask as many questions you want. I've been rushing. You take over.
I just have a question. So, because we all have our favorites, and there's reasons why we have our favorites. So, since you are new, I wanted to ask, like, who were you immediately drawn to? Like, not necessarily on the first time that you watched, but like, we know who the big guys are and who everyone is really into when you started watching is like Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, whatever. But I'm curious, like, who were you just drawn to when you started watching?
So for me, it was Gunther.
Ooh.
My first event was at Royal Rumble, and I just saw this killer instinct, this like animal like quality in him. And it was just like his eyes were just like, you know, this unbelievably intense look. And he just kept absorbing hit after hit after hit like it was nothing. And it took everything Cody Rhodes could deliver. And the fact that Cody Rhodes came last.
Yeah.
For Cody Rhodes to win that to win that Royal Rumble. And I thought it was a great way to prop up Gunther even because you never see wrestlers acknowledge the person that they beat. And Cody Rhodes is a nice guy also, so that's part of it. But like Cody Rhodes acknowledged Gunther after beating him. Like I think he held his hand up, something like that at that Royal Rumble. And it was like, even in a loss, this guy just commands respect. And then I saw him at WrestleMania. I forget who he faced because was it Ricochet?
No, it was Sheamus and Drew McIntyre.
Oh, right. And it just start the match. They were both just slapping the heck out of each other's chests. And it was just like, this is just like intensity to the max. So that's what I really liked. Once I went to that Raw show, it was Seth Rollins. For me, it was just the aura that he commanded. It was like, this guy hasn't even started singing, or I've never seen this guy before, and yet I feel obligated to sing along with everybody. Like this guy's put a trance on this entire crowd.
It would be cool for, I don't know many people that like are new to wrestling, but it would be cool for you to see like the evolution of Seth Rollins, because even just a couple years ago, he was the Messiah and it was like this completely different, or even when he was part of the, oh my God, Triple H and Stephanie, what were they calling it?
Oh, the Authority.
The Authority. Why couldn't I think of that? Or the Shield. I was a big Shield girl. I always talk about Seth was my favorite. Got a retweet from Seth when he had 77,000 followers. That's how deep my love goes.
That is deep.
But yeah, no, like the evolution of Seth is crazy, and it's insane to think about how he's doing his best work now. Like considering his past, it's crazy to think that he's nearing the age of where guys traditionally are getting close to the end, and he's still performing like he's 25. Yeah, it's insane.
Well, having a champion as unlikable and as unwilling to defend as Roman, Seth, and Seth kind of said this in his interview. He wanted to like bring back a WWE title that has defenses and rotates a lot, and it feels like he felt the need to win the heavyweight title to save wrestling. Like that was his goal. He didn't say anything like, "Oh, I want to be the dominant force." He said, I want more faces. I want more title defenses. Like that's the kind of like just unreal attitude. And with regards to like what you were saying about Shield and all of that, it does feel like I've started a show in season 5 or something, and I want to go back and watch, or at least have an overview of the first 4 seasons, because as much as I'm enjoying season 5, I want that background. I want more on what the bloodline used to be. I want more on Shield. I want more on the older ages of wrestling. The Rock, the 316, Stone Cold, those eras. And I just want, I want to know more about all these eras so that I can appreciate what I'm seeing right now in context.
It would also show you that not even just the evolution of a wrestler, but the evolution of how shows were on. Like the Attitude Era, oh my gosh, the way Raw was back then is so different to how it is now. But it kind of just makes you appreciate each era, because most people like my generation, or even I guess Pat's generation a little bit on the older side, usually revert back to being like, oh, the good old days, and that would be referencing the Attitude Era. But I feel like we're in a good era right now too, and a lot of that has to do with Triple H, who was a huge part of the Attitude Era, which would also be kind of a cool avenue to explore, because the Triple H is suit and tie business guy Triple H, but he was a badass, like, and you would probably have hated him at the peak of his career. He was so hateable, but he was so good. So yeah, it's definitely there's just so much for you to look into, which is
There's
exciting.
I'd also
so
like
much.
some context. I'd like some
Mhm.
context on the Miz title run because
Oh.
right now, all I've seen from the Miz is him being tossed around about like a rag doll
Mhm.
by Pat McAfee, Snoop Dogg, of course Seth Rollins. And like from some of these fights, I'm like, this guy can really hold his own in a ring. And they just decided to give him the short end of the stick over and over again. But I'd like to see a fight that he won at some point.
Yeah, he's had a couple title runs, and he's been around for almost 20 years too, and
Yeah,
never
he's pushed
changed
for 20 years.
character. He's always been the Miz, exactly the same.
And he's
And
always
that
been awesome.
and that's unique. That's not something that you see almost ever. Like, especially if you're not a consistently at the top guy. Like John Cena never changed. Once he turned face, it was like that's John Cena. But the Miz was at the top and then he was like back into the middle. At the top and then back into the middle. So it is unique to see somebody not have to dramatically change themselves in order to continue having a job, basically.
The Miz's title run around that WrestleMania 27 time gets lost in history because it was overshadowed by my tribal chief, The Rock, and John Cena, and the starting of their feud, year-long build-up for their WrestleMania match. And the Miz was in that weird time too where he won the title because of Money in the Bank, and all that weird, like, could the Miz really be a champion? The main event of WrestleMania, like legitimate main event, not this bullshit 3 main event
Mm-hmm.
nonsense. Like, he was the last match and won. It's the Miz is someone who deserves his flowers because of how well he's just been able to overcome so much shit. I
Yeah.
mean, from changing in the bathrooms because they just didn't like him, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
to being, I would say, one of the most, I would say, respected, and veteran leaders backstage. So
Inconsistent. I mean, that's why he's at that
consistent.
point in his career where they use him to help put other guys over. It's the same thing like we say with Dolph Ziggler. Like Dolph has obviously had not an identical career as the Miz, but they're both used now in matches that need legitimacy to them, but that can make their opponent look good. So
Yeah.
it is a weird balance. Like if you don't know about their history, especially to see like why is the Miz in this match? Like why is he even qualifying for the title? Like this is a joke, but at one point he was at the top of his game. So
He was. He absolutely was. So we'll wrap up here, but we have a weekly segment that we're bringing back. It is the 1, 2, 3 count. And so you kind of alluded to it, so that's why I'm kind of jumping right into it for the 1, 2, 3 count, because the first fall one is, what are you watching? And I bring this up because if you know me, you know the champ. I watch everything. And I go back and watch everything. I go on Peacock and I watch old SmackDowns and watch old Raws. And people will probably ask, well, why do you go back and do that? It's not for the sheer entertainment factor, but now that Triple H is involved and he is now the head of creative, there's a lot of similarities between the Attitude Era and how their shows were structured and now. And we're seeing that, and I'll give a little taste, is the time period I'm watching is the 2000 Royal Rumble.
oh, you're cheating because you're starting at like the best Royal Rumble.
No, but I've caught up. That's where
No,
I'm
I
at.
know. I just meant like we just talked about how that's like the best Royal Rumble.
Best Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And I I probably started, I would say, a month or two before that, just watching the old Raws and whatnot. And one thing that I've noticed is the continuity between shows. So last maybe 2 weeks ago with that Raw with Imperium, Judgment Day, and KO and Sammy, how it felt like every other segment one of those three factions and teams were involved in a segment. There's a lot of that going on in that time. And the only difference really is that it's more centered on like the show element and the actual wrestling, whatever you want to call it, rather than the sheer like entertainment shock value to try to just like we're edgy, you know.
Yeah.
It's evolved in a way, and it's nice to see that. So to go and watch that, like that's something that I mean I that's what I fall asleep to every night. So
yeah, I'm just watching current WWE. Sometimes I'll watch Peacock, but I don't watch a whole lot of TV. Like basically I watch wrestling during the week and then before I go to bed, for the most part, I watch House Hunters and then I go to sleep because I am a grandma. So, and then when we're in, you know, in sports season,
I did see that on your YouTube when I was posting when I was doing the clips.
Yeah.
And I would like sign in and just be like House Hunters or this clip.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I watch that, and then, you know, obviously when it's football season, basketball season, I'm watching that. But for the most part, I'm not really like watching that much. So I mean, it's not I do sometimes go back and like we'll watch. I always want to call it the network, WWE network. I'm just gonna call it that. I don't care. But sometimes it's like overwhelming because there's so much that you can watch. I'm like, I don't even know where to begin, you know?
Exactly. Which that brings us to our guest of honor right now. Sora, you want to start watching more of the old, and you know, you already mentioned, you know, you catch up and watch seasons 1 to 4. And that's one thing that, you know, I invite the questions, we'll say, and invite that, you know, like, oh, you know, am I asking about? No. The best part about wrestling right now, and I'm not just talking about the product, I'm talking about just the current state of it, is that whatever you want to watch or whatever you have an idea of what you'd be into, it is at our fingertips. You can go on Peacock and watch old Raws from my, you know, what I said in the late 90s, 2000s, or if you want to watch a Raw SmackDown from 2013, you know, you can go do that because that was actually not a terrible time. It was the Raw Super Show era.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of weird stuff there. But they not only take the WWE side, you can go on YouTube. And the amount of compilations that I watch of like amateur stuff where it's just compilations of not only the, you know, hardcore extreme stuff, but, you know, the other promotions like a Limitless, a Beyond Wrestling, an H2O, where you just see these clips of guys that you've never seen, never heard of before, but they just do these incredible moves. Like, who is that guy? And then it leads you down that rabbit hole of now you're becoming a fan of this guy and whatnot. So
even New Japan, if you're interested in Finn Balor or AJ Styles, like New Japan, Bullet Club, like that is peak Finn Balor. I mean, what you see from Finn Balor right now is similar, but it's what we were begging for them to allow Finn to do, because like heel Finn Balor is too good. There's just so many options.
Yeah. We didn't even mention who I believe is the great.
I think the approach that I'm personally trying to take is finding a storyline and chasing it to its extreme. So
okay.
Like this week, I get the whole, you know, Veer Sangha, the Singhs, the Great Khali, but maybe, you know, maybe next week I'll do it with the Bloodline. Maybe after that I'll do it with Rey Mysterio, or, you know, a wrestler, or, you know, John Cena, something like that, where I can kind of just learn the chronology of different branches of the WWE tree and go from there is what, you know, what comes to mind as a possible approach. But I also didn't know that you could watch that Peacock had like a library beyond just live wrestling events. So I will absolutely exploit that.
Oh, so
yeah, it has WCW, like WWE, WWF, like it has everything. Yeah, ECW. They have the rights to a lot, and then basically you could watch a random some pay-per-view or something from the 80s if you wanted. It's not only current, which is what's cool, because if you really did want to start with like the Attitude Era, you could literally find the episode when the Attitude Era began. Or if you wanted to watch the Monday Night Wars, even, like, you can watch both. You could watch the Raw and you could watch the WCW. Then you can see why I love me some Scott Hall and some NWO.
There you go.
Yeah, so there's so much that you can look at, and that's why I even said, like, if you wanted to learn more about Triple H, you have his entire career on Peacock. You can watch everything. So there's yeah, that's why I say it's like overwhelming, because even for me, when I've been watching wrestling for the most part since like 99, it's like it's a lot to try and be like, what do I want to watch today? Like, what would I want to rewatch?
Yeah, this kind of leads, and I'm going to just segue into the two, because this has been a debate I've seen on Twitter.
Okay.
And I didn't think I'd have such a strong opinion about it until now. Is a lot of people are saying, all right, time's passed. Do we miss the network, the WWE network, or are we all right with Peacock? And I miss the WWE network. The only reason I wish I did not live in America was so that I could have the WWE network. Yes, Peacock's great. And if I'm not into watching a nice little pay-per-view or an old, show, I can go and watch a nice crime doc or whatever, Bupkis, Pete Davidson's in. But the network it was so revolutionary for its time, where you had one center place for an abundance of wrestling content, and the original shows too. My favorite was Countdown. It was a top 10 of just different stuff, different themes over which sword. That might be another good way to kind of learn about things. Those shows, like, this is awesome that they have on WWE. Like, they don't have Countdown anymore, but like those Countdown shows they have during WrestleMania season, they have the WrestleMania Rewind, where it takes you back into historic WrestleMania matches and is a deeper dive into it, where it gives you a little preview of the match leading up to it. Then they showed you the full match. So I miss the network so much because of that reason.
I don't really feel either way. I think from what I can remember, I have better luck with Peacock than I ever did with the network. Like, if I always had issues with the network, whether it was like the buffering or freezing or something, like, I always had that happen when I was using the network. I almost never have that happen with Peacock. But I also like Peacock because of all the other stuff that comes with it. So I like that I can watch WWE, but it's not just something for WWE. You know what I mean? Because for me, most of the time that I was on the WWE network was just to watch a pay-per-view, and that was it. I didn't really use it for anything else. So having Peacock, then I can watch, Law and Order SVU, because I love Law and Order, or like my sister and her husband, they love The Office. So it's like it gives them these other options. And so I don't blame them for combining, with NBC and whatever. I think the WWE network thing, the reason I would miss it maybe is just for the nostalgia of it, because like you said, it was so historic at that time. It was, a wrestling encyclopedia, a wrestling Netflix at the time. So I think that would be like the only reason I would miss it. But I mean, I'm fine with having Peacock. I didn't realize that this was like an argument that people have.
Oh, I've seen it on Twitter. Is that they're debating, all right, what's better, and everyone is saying the WWE network.
It's the same stuff, so it's like I don't really, and you get more from it being on Peacock. So I feel like that's not a debate really. But
It's us diehards, Sarah.
What are you saying? What are you implying? I've been watching it since
I know, but
nearly before you were born.
Technically, you're right.
Almost. I mean,
almost.
You were, yeah.
I mean, I started watching. I fun fact, a little revert back to what we're watching. So I just made a little bit of a purchase where I got the DVD, The People's Champ, from the Rocks, when they used to do those home movies, and I got it on Amazon. Finally found it. That is exactly what I'm doing this weekend, is watching that, because that tape I had that as a VHS, just to show my age a little bit. I had that as a VHS, and I watched the shit out of that thing. That's where I found out The Rock's like unbelievable promos. The promo he cut against Billy Gunn, his match he had with Triple H. I mean, that was where I first saw him winning the Rumble for the first time. So like, I am so excited to binge it, and we got like bonus content.
Oh my god!
I'm so excited to watch my tribal chief.
Oh my gosh!
It's my tribal chief. So,
Mhm.
and then 3. What are we gonna look at? What are we looking forward to this week? Soar. What are we looking forward to this week in our wrestling viewing?
Honestly, I'm not sure what they're really building up to in the post. I'm looking to see what they do towards SummerSlam. I think I want to say that's the next
Money in the
big
Bank.
event.
Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank. Okay, when is that?
Mhm. July at the beginning, right?
Exciting
Yeah,
stuff.
like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, still got a month. See,
That's gonna be your first Money in the Bank ladder. Oh my gosh! I hope it's better than last year, because the women's was ooh.
Who won the
Yeah.
women's last year?
Oh my god!
I can't.
Liv Morgan.
Oh, Liv, because she cashed in the same night.
Yeah,
That's
but that
why I
match
forgot.
was rough. So anyway, go ahead, Sora.
I feel like in general they do a good job building up to these major events and kind of building up storylines that will then dominate the event. You know, they did a lot of that with Brock and Cody. I'm curious what new rivalry is going to form as a, you know, to set the stage for Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
I'm
excited to see who like Seth's first feud is going to be.
Well, we got some breaking news. He put out that opening challenge.
Yeah,
but
but
that
that's
open challenge, and Damian Priest, I think, accepted it within 10 minutes of him posting it. So,
oh my god, I watched
Daddy
it, and
Damian.
he just starts laughing at the beginning, and I was like, can I just like cut this and just listen to that all the time, because like his deep voice is so nice that it even sounds nice when he's laughing. You know, I mean, there's a reason why he's called Bamian. Okay,
Bamian, that's what it was.
Finn Balor. Anyway,
Daddy
but yeah.
Dom.
No.
Dom.
We don't like Dom.
Dom. No.
I love Dom and Rhea. So
I love Dom and Rhea, but I would never be like, oh my god, Dom is bae. No, I would never say that in my life.
I only enjoy the Dom and Rhea storyline for how cringeworthy it is. If as weird as that sounds, like seeing them two together makes me want to vomit, and that's why it's such a compelling and interesting storyline.
I still love the idea of Buddy returning to WWE and like being like, what the fuck to Dom, and being like, why are you with my girl? But I know that's never gonna happen. But they're really cute. Rhea posted a photo of them together.
Oh yeah, Buddy, he's doing his best work. We're getting all lead again, because he's over sore. Rhea's real life boyfriend works for All Elite Wrestling. He's part of one of my favorite trios, factions, whatever you call it, the House of Black, and they are the trios champions over in AEW. No, like, I'm not dead serious when I say this. They might be one of my favorite factions right now in my top 5. They're so dominant. They just are so, I don't know what it is about the dark aura that they give off. They have one of the coolest entrances, and they have a manager, Julia Hart, who's just like a witch, we'll say. And the way that they have their matches now in when they defend the trios, it's called House Rules, and they turn the lighting so it feels like a stage, and it's dark on like the crowd side, so you can't really see the crowd, and then it's a spotlight on the ring. Oh, it's so cool. I want them to be trios champs for a very long time, strictly to see more House Rules matches.
And he's in the group with Zelina Vega's husband.
Yes, Aleister Black, or Malachi Black now.
Yeah. And Buddy used to be engaged to Alexa Bliss.
Yes.
And they had a pig.
Pregnant.
Yeah, she's
Good
pregnant.
for her.
Yay.
Congratulations. Wanted to give that out.
Okay.
See?
Yeah, I'm sure she was waiting for your congratulatory video. So
Yes. You gotta get a congratulations.
she
from
was
the
like, "Oh
champ.
my god, I can't believe I made my pregnancy announcement, and Pat hasn't said anything to me yet."
Patty Pitts has not said anything. Well, Patty Pitts is here to say
For a second, I thought you
congratulations.
said Daddy Pitts, and I was gonna be like, "Whoa,
I will never call myself Daddy Pitts. That is
that's
even
disgusting."
nauseating to me. That is nauseating to me. And
Same. I'm glad it's mutual. It's mutual.
that's
Ew.
hilarious.
That would be something.
And as Hit Row loses to the OC, I think
Love
that
it.
is a good time to wrap things up here because I want to get to watch SmackDown. And we thank you for everyone who has tuned into this episode. We like to thank Soar for popping in, and as Soar being my co-host of one of my podcasts, you know the rules on my podcast where if you make appearance once, you get an open door policy after that. So the floor is yours whenever you would like to come back. And we definitely are going to have you come back too, because we need more updates. We need to know more about this journey that you are on as a wrestling fan. And we are happy that you're taking that journey yourself. So go and to do some little promotion for yourself. Get on your little soapbox here and do
First
a little
of all,
promo.
thank you all for having me. It was really fun to get to talk to you guys, and definitely look forward to doing it more. I think I appreciate both of you both of you have helped me a lot in getting acquainted with things. I give both of you an annoying number of questions, and it is a pleasure. Follow my Twitter at Survora for my takes on all sports as well as WWE. I like a lot of things, and so you will get takes on a lot of things. Follow my TikTok at Aura Sings if you want to see the a different side of me, and check out StadiumRant.com for not just my articles but articles from a really, really great group of fans, some of the few people in the world that are as passionate about sports as I am. So definitely check us out.
And you'll check out the pod, the Gillette Gazette show.
That's right.
With the podcast now becoming a show on the Stadium Rant YouTube channel. Oh my God, are we getting the ceremony right now? Let's go. Okay, so Gillette Gazette on Stadium Rant YouTube. Go check that out. And while you're on YouTube, checking out Stadium Rant, following our stuff, subscribing, looking at me, Champ Pitts, go and check out Sarah's YouTube channel. Your YouTube channel. Go check out Sarah's YouTube channel, where we go live not only for this, but we do the Raw Rewind. We're probably gonna have a SmackDown breakdown tomorrow to talk about the 1,000-day ceremony and other clips too, because we don't have,
And my boys.
And the boys. Yes, boys. If you don't have an hour and 13 minutes and 44 seconds to watch this whole thing, we clip it for you, okay? We have clips that Sarah puts together on the YouTube for shorts, other clips like that. So if you don't want to listen to us talk about, I don't know, all elite wrestling, because I've been, if you're a WWE stan and you want to get to that, we have clips that are just WWE stuff. So go, or whatever. So go check that out. And then follow us on Twitter at Pat_Pitts, at SMarshXO, Instagram at Pitsy35, and at SMarsh_. TikTok as well, Sarah. It's SMarsh
XO.
Okay, so XO on TikTok as well. We got clips there. And kind of go off on the guy who said Gunther sucks. All right. Go find the video. Go find him. All right.
Yeah.
I'm sending the peeps. The peeps can go handle that business, because the champ of the peeps has got business to take care of watching this 1,000-day ceremony, as we do as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All I got to do is try. We will see you next episode.